I just want to take a second and just take you in, because you're what my mama dreamt for me. She said, one day I'm going to go far and high, so I just want to take it in. I am just like you. When it's nighttime and a pack of boys walks up on me, I cross the street. I clutch my pocketbook to my side and I start praying. Please do not let these fellows follow me to my car, but this time it's daylight. And I'm still scared. I am at the Richmond, Virginia Juvenile Detention Center, sent here to show these 14 little cocoa-colored boys how to express themselves. I have a reputation. They say that if Gail Danley can't bring the feeling out of a group of young people, you might as well lock them up, swallow the key. Y'all, I was so scared, my knees knocking like a pot of black-eyed peas. Security guard took my car keys and searched me from fro to toe. He told me, he said, relax, Gail. I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to go get the fellas for you. And he had a gun kissing his hip. I told him, take your time, baby. First thing I noticed when those fellas arrived, broken eyes, disorganized hair, hands behind backs as if cuffed, orange uniforms. Guard told them, sit down and shut up. This poetry lady gonna do a poem for y'all, and I dare one of y'all to move. Sheila. I should have typed him up a little introduction. But anyway, I stood up. This is my job, and I started my poetry. Slowly. I saw these brown faces lean into my work. I did my poetry. I did the poem about the librarian dude I used to date, you know, the one with all the bunions and the ashy feet. And the guy started laughing, right? And I got close to him. Guard pushed me back. Gail, don't do that. You don't know what these fellas will do to you on a dog night, and you don't know what they'll give you. So I stood back. But then I did two pearls. Mama poem. I saw a tear creep down a boy's cheek. I came close to him. I wanted him to see what a black woman smells like when she's not afraid anymore. I wanted him to write anything. All right, pencil, paper time. Come on, put it down. Guard said, nuh-uh. Where you think you at? They don't get pencils. Pencils are considered deadlier than guns. I was done. Got my little jacket, headed for the locked door. Above my head, a mirror. Picture this, y'all. In its reflection, I see this orange uniform boy coming up behind me with his head cocked. He looked pretty tough. Yo, Miss Gail, can I talk to you a little bit before you go? You know that poem you did about your mom's dying? My mama died too. I wish I could go see her, yo. I told him, baby, write your mommy a poem. With what? Doesn't have a pencil. It didn't matter. I was just the entertainment for the hour. Understand what I'm saying? I was just the diversion. I walked to my car that day. I could hear those metal doors slamming as I cranked up, and I drove away, but I wasn't the same. That's what I do. That's what we do, right? I'm just like you, y'all, no different. When it's nighttime and those thug boys walk up on me, I cross the street too. Yeah. Clutch my pocketbook, but I pray, please let me say something today that's gonna save somebody's life. hoping this one time that young man down there in Virginia will finish his sentence. Wow, I took a lot of pauses. I better do the next one really fast. So listen, I'm coming out of an apartment, right? This is no poem. I just want to share this with you. I'm coming out of an apartment in Baltimore, right? And I hear a woman's voice. And when I point to you, help me out a little bit, y'all. I want you to, you can just say beep. So I hear a woman's voice coming out of the apartment. And she's saying, you little, get your up off the, before your little. So I kind of, went to the car a little sooner than I expected, right? And I saw the voice. I saw the face that matched the voice. And she must have been about 16, my daughter's age. And I saw behind her the person she had been speaking to, and the person was 3. So it occurred to me, as I thought about civility and got ready to come to be with you today, that we got some inner civility that we need to work on as well, right? There is philanthropy, but there's also this love that we got to start doing face-to-face, up close and personal, and with ourselves too. That's the civility I want to leave with you. I'm going to do this last poem so fast, fellas, and then I'm going to sit down. I tell you, it's fast. It's called Superhero. Stick your chest out as you listen to it. Stick your chest out. Come on. It says, my husband and my husband's poet friends write lots of poems about superheroes. They drive the audience insane. They talk about Gumby and Superman and Batman and his cousin Spider-Man and Wonder Woman, and it makes me feel very alone. I don't know these folks. Well, I know Wonder Woman, right, because she's got the cool hips and the bangles. But I don't really care to know these people. Here for your brief review, Miss Gale's list of superheroes, #1, my Aunt Ruth. Because her pocketbook grew dollars that turned into my college degree, #2. My Uncle Claude, 9 fingers, 1 eyebrow. But he means it when he tells Aunt Ernestine, sugar, you ain't going nowhere, and neither am I. You know what, woman? You ever try to leave me? I'm 50 years in this thing, baby. I'm going to drag a dirty blanket up next to you and lay down wherever you go, baby. #3, my poodle Jocko. Never stopped waiting on my school bus, 3:15 every day, even when he got old and couldn't hold his pee. #4, me. Because when my daughter's father chose those street corners over me, I grabbed my baby up. I don't even own a cape. I don't need one. And I flew off into a dark, scary Maryland night. My husband can have his superheroes. I'm going to stay right here, flat-footed on the ground.
Oh, that was divine. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, young audiences in New Jersey. That was just wonderful. Welcome. I'm Nina Stack, President of the Council of New Jersey Grantmakers, and really thrilled to have you all here today for our 3rd biennial spring colloquium. Your performance illustrated for us, once again, how the arts inspire, how they can educate, how they can move us in ways that we just never expect. And it's through the arts that we get to experience firsthand other places, and you've taken us to another place. And we got to be there collectively. And so I sort of want to take that moment, and it's why we love having an arts experience at the start of our events, because it brings everybody here. As Sheila said, put away the stuff that's out there. Turn off the cell phones, forget about the emails. Come here and have a shared conversation about our sector, about the social sector. All 160 of you that are here live in the audience. But wait, I've forgotten. There are nearly 100 of our colleagues across the country who have also come together to tune into this conversation. We are, in fact, simulcasting, as you heard, to 8 regional associations of grantmakers, our brothers and sisters in support of philanthropy, from Arizona, Iowa, Indiana, to Pittsburgh, Rochester, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and New York City. In addition, we're going to be posting video highlights, do you see the cameras, of today's program, as well as a full podcast of the conversation. And were it not, I'll say again, for PSE&G support and for sponsorship of the podcast, which Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey has provided, this would not be possible. I'm going to ask our esteemed panelists to come on up, and as you get settled in, I'm going to talk a little bit about our logistics and then introduce our folks. Our guest will talk for about an hour or so, and then we'd like to have them respond to questions from all of you. In your programs are index cards. If you want to write up questions on those cards and pass them to the end of your row, there'll be CNJG staff who will pick those up and collect them. Immediately following the colloquium conversation, we will have boxed lunches for everyone, thanks to our luncheon sponsor, Citi, and Helen Stebecki's here. Appreciate that. And thanks to Provident Bank Foundation, we have a gift for you, a copy of either Professor Appiah's book or Mr. Bornstein's book. We are extremely fortunate today, as you've heard, and as you've read in the materials that we've sent, an incredible panel of truly insightful and informed thought leaders with us, who bring a perspective to what role philanthropy might play in helping to restore civility to our society. Their bios are included in your programs. I'm going to encourage you to please read them, although I'll tell you, they don't give the breadth of all of that they've accomplished. But I'll start with David Bornstein on the far end, has become recognized as a leading driver for social entrepreneurship, recognizing that the social sector in our world is providing the leadership, energy, and creativity to serve our society's long-term interests in what he calls our citizen sector. Next to him is Kathy Raphael, a highly focused family philanthropist who is also working at the national and global levels to address and advance social justice and equity for women through her positions with the Ms. Foundation for Women and the Women's Donor Network. We have Anthony Appiah, the eminent philosopher from Princeton University, is the author of numerous books on the topic of cultural differences, our values, and our moral lives. He received the National Humanities Medal earlier this year at the White House. And our moderator, Chris Satullo, is known to many in the Philadelphia media market for his long career as a journalist, formerly with the Inquirer and now with WHYY. His passionate and compelling commentaries never shy away from a position that may rattle some cages, but do so in a way that respects and values opposing ideas. I'll just say that when we first considered the idea of the colloquium this year, having it on civility, the Council's program committee jumped right in without hesitation. They saw immediately how corrosive and widespread the rancor has become. They recognize that there is some role for those of us working in mission-driven organizations to turn things around. For the past year, we've continued to see headlines that speak to why the expanding incivility is truly spreading like a cancer. Just consider the Susan G. Komen Planned Parenthood fallout, which ultimately means there are people that have just stepped away from funding either organization, and that means less support for women's health. Or the Girl Scout troop that caused a national cookie sale boycott because it accepted a transgender scout, to say nothing of the tragic deaths that we've experienced here in New Jersey due to bullying. Last week, we were treated to a video that went viral from Greece, showing one politician slapping another repeatedly during a news program. In an essay immediately following the Tucson shooting, Diana Aviv, our colleague from Independent Sector, wrote, "Some argue that words don't kill people, actions do. But toxic words poison the climate in which disturbed people may feel empowered, indeed compelled to act." We have today 4 people who know about what empowers people to act and how to use and empower as a force for good. I want to thank the 4 of you for being with us, and I'll turn it over to Chris.
Thank you, Nina, and good morning, everyone. It's great to be here with you. We began with poetry, so I guess that makes us the prose part of the program. And Gail, you were a magnificently intimidating act to follow. But we'll do our best. So we're going to start with perhaps the simplest and most basic question we can ask, given the title of this program, but maybe one of the hardest to answer. What is civility? What are its essential hallmarks? How does it differ from politeness or decorum? David, we're going to start with you.
Oh my goodness. I think probably that's one of those questions that has a different meaning at different times in history. I think if we look at our time in history now, what's distinctive about it is that a kind of rule-based ethics doesn't work anymore because we encounter difference so much more and so much more often than we used to. And so we can't really rely on what I was taught by my parents in terms of this is the way you behave, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. You really have to be able to step into other people's shoes on a regular basis and be able to empathize with other people. So I think, if I think about that as a sort of an operational, what is civility, it really is, think about it on a playground. It's the ability for a bunch of kids, when a bunch of kids come together and agree to play a game, they're coming to sort of voluntary agreements. They have to be able to suspend their personal desires for some sort of a group desire. They have to be able to decide when rules matter and when they have to adhere to them. And so there's a sort of, the ability to sort of come to voluntary agreements where irreconcilable truths conflict, the ability to celebrate the universalism that we have, and at the same time not abandon the particularity of ourselves. That's sort of how I would look at it.
And I think we'll probably come back to that playground imagery at some point. Kathy?
My thought is fairly similar. When thinking about politeness, it's a tolerance of what the other person is saying. Civility feels a little more generous. The belief that you may have a different opinion, but it's equally valid as mine to you. That there's more of a generosity of spirit in civility rather than just, okay, I'm hearing what you're saying.
I think it's interesting often to think about these sorts of words somewhat in terms of their sort of etymology. And, you know, civility comes from the same Latin root as the idea of citizenship. It's, you know, civis is the Latin for citizen. So I think of civility as properly treating your fellow inhabitants of the city or the society, treating them as they deserve to be treated. That's the sort of most abstract idea. And by the way, interestingly enough, of course, politeness shares its etymology with politics and polis, so it's also about the city. It's also about the and for that matter, courtesy, of course, means treating people the way people get treated in courts, royal courts, not courts of law. And so I think all of these words have built into them the thought that there's a way that it's appropriate to behave with other people with whom we share something, whether it's the state, the city, the court, and that we should, whenever we're in any of these contexts, we should remember what you know, we should be thinking about what the obligations are that we have in virtue of our shared citizenship, our shared inhabitancy of the city, or whatever it is.
Picking up on that notion of shared, it seems to me that there's something about you have to feel some shared identity with someone to be in a relationship of civility. If you regard someone as the other, it's very hard to maintain civility.
There's an old, again, philosophical tradition of distinguishing between civility on the one hand and hospitality on the other. Mm-hmm. Hospitality is a relationship with strangers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Civility has built into it the sense that we're both something or other. And so, as you say, we have to have some shared citizenship, identity. It could be that we're all, you know, Trentonians or New Brunswickers or Philadelphians, or it could be that we're Americans. It could be that we're you know, members of the same church. But it has to be, I think, something like that.
Robert Putnam and, gosh, I forget his co-author who wrote American Grace.
Everybody forgets his co-author.
I'm so as a writer,
it's tough to be Robert Putnam's co-author.
But one of the major points that he makes is that things that cause people to respect and care for people of other groups is two things are meaningful relationships and some appreciative knowledge of another tradition. And he has this wonderful analogy. He says, Aunt Susan or my pal Al, he says, if you know somebody from another religion and you have a favorable relationship with them, actually he was focusing more on ethnicity, but he says it probably could be applied to other things too. And you like them or you admire them, you're not only going to like that person, that group better, but you're going to actually be more tolerant of every other group. Mm-hmm. And so just having meaningful, respectful relationships with a few people changes your view of everything. I had an experience like Gail did where I was recently speaking at the Bonne Terre Correctional Institute outside of St. Louis to about 100 long-term felons who were going to be in there for their whole lives. And it really, really changed the way I think about the 2 million people that we have in prison and who these people are. And I have had very few experiences with this group. But I think that, having programming in those exposures for people as part of how you become a member of the society is absolutely necessary to engage, to improve civility.